The cell door clanged shut with a hiss and thud, locking the human inside. No chains, no restraints, just walls of transparent alloy thick enough to stop plasma rounds. He barely reacted. The guards, tall insectoid creatures of the Zarkari Empire, clicked their mandibles in grim amusement and backed away quickly. One of them muttered, "He won't last 5 minutes." The human glanced at the far end of the cell. Something enormous lay there in the shadows, breathing. The breaths were slow, thunderous, and wet with the weight of 1,000 battles. The deadliest alien dragon the galaxy had ever known, Zaelthar the Red Grief, captured after a 5-year interstellar war. His body was torn, but alive. His fire glands had been cauterized, his wings clipped. Still, none dared enter the cage with him. None until now. The human sat on the floor and opened a black medkit. The war between the Alliance of Free Worlds and the Zarkari had left millions dead. The dragons, once neutral, had been dragged in after a massacre on the storm planet Velcros. Zaelthar, the last of the old dragons, had chosen vengeance. They called him the Red Grief not for his flame, but because he never killed instantly. He made his enemies suffer. Entire fleets fell in minutes. Colonies burned. Peace negotiations ended with a silhouette blotting out the moons. So when the Zarkari caught him, the galaxy shuddered. The war paused. The victors built a cage, locked it deep within a black site prison asteroid, and waited for Zaelthar to rot. Alone, forgotten, until today. Zaelthar stirred. Even beaten, chained, and crippled, his sheer presence could kill morale. His eye, the one that had been gouged out, snapped open, a glowing ruby. He growled, voice like tectonic plates cracking. "Another toy?" The human didn't answer. He took out gauze and synfoam. "You've got necrosis on your side. The wound's turning septic." Zaelthar raised his head. "You presume to treat me, insect? I presume you don't want to die of rot. Not like this." A pause. "You're not afraid," Zaelthar said, watching him. "No," the human replied. "I've seen worse." "You lie?" "Maybe," the human shrugged. "But I'm not here to fight you." Zaelthar narrowed his eye. "Then what are you?" They had thrown Captain Elias Varn into the cage, thinking he was just another war criminal, a captured medic, nothing more. They hadn't realized he was Elias Varn, war surgeon of the legendary 14th Alliance Recon, also known as the Ghost Hands, a man who had patched soldiers under fire, saved lives in orbiting hulls mid-collapse, and, allegedly, once operated with only a broken shard of glass and thread from his own uniform. He wasn't just a medic. He was a miracle worker. But the Zarkari didn't care about stories. They needed someone disposable, someone they wouldn't miss. So they threw him in. Over the next few hours, Elias worked in silence. He used a heat pack to soften the hardened scales around Zaelthar's ribcage. The dragon tensed at first, but then allowed it. "You know," Elias said, wrapping a fresh bandage around the festering wound, "you were right to be angry." Zaelthar grunted. "They massacred your kin. Didn't even call it a war crime. Just collateral." "I remember," the dragon rumbled. "I watched the sky bleed and the earth die. I swore I'd return the grief they gave me." "You did." Zaelthar fell silent. "Then why help me?" Elias paused. "Because you're in pain." "I am pain." Elias leaned back, wiped sweat from his brow. "No, you're something else too. You were a healer once. I read the old files. You led the dragon healers of Tarnith before the wars." Zaelthar's eye flickered. "That was a lifetime ago." "But not forgotten," Elias said. Over the next 3 days, Elias treated Zaelthar's shattered wing joints, irrigated old wounds, and used every trick he knew to prevent infection. He didn't ask for thanks. In return, Zaelthar asked questions, at first small ones, then deeper. Why do humans fight for peace? Why does healing hurt more than destruction? Why did you come here, knowing what I was? Elias answered as best he could. He told stories from Earth. He spoke of soldiers who cried when they lived, of children born during orbital sieges, of how he once stitched a Zarkari warrior back together. Even after that warrior had burned a village to the ground, Zaelthar listened, not just with ears, but with soul. On the fifth night, the alarms blared. Zarkari guards burst into the chamber, weapons primed. Behind them, the prison warden, a cruel brute named Krasik, stepped forward. Enough games, he growled. We've studied the dragon. We're done. Time to dispose of both experiments. He raised a plasma rifle. Zaelthar moved first. The dragon surged forward, despite broken wings and clipped claws, and shielded Elias with his massive body. You will not. Krasik laughed. You're barely a corpse, beast. Zaelthar's body pulsed. Something ancient waking. His fire glands, thought ruined, sizzled with low hum. Then Elias threw himself forward, not toward the guards, toward Zaelthar. He stabbed a stimulant into the dragon's neck, a biochemical catalyst used only in battlefield resurrection kits. It was experimental, illegal, and now activated. Zaelthar screamed. His body erupted in red flame. Scales regrew, wings unshriveled. His tail coiled with purpose. The fire in his throat returned. The red grief was back. The Zarkari tried to flee. They didn't make it. Within seconds, the cell exploded in molten fury. Elias ran behind Zaelthar, untouched by the flames, shielded by a living wall of vengeance. When the smoke cleared, Krasik's remains were ash. 2 days later, the Alliance received an unmarked signal, a location, a message. He is free, and he remembers. When they arrived, they found something impossible. A dragon, once the most feared in the galaxy, resting beside a human medic on the surface of a broken asteroid, waiting in peace. Elias saluted the officers as they landed. Zaelthar bowed. I am no longer your weapon, he said, but I will protect your worlds, not from hatred, but from becoming like me. They made a deal. Zaelthar would serve as a guardian of war refugees, protecting evac ships and healing settlements with his ancient breath. Elias became his ambassador, traveling with him. Together, they visited battlefields and stopped future wars before they began, not with fire, but with understanding. The galaxy called them many things, but to the people they were simply the healer and the flame.